Okay, that's it's good to know all the various approaches in terms of how you guys are using your talent and the needs. Now, follow-up questions around the talent aspect of the industry. Um, what we are looking at, of course, against the topic is about the regional workforce and how that you build a sustainable workforce and that drives organization's capabilities. Now, ASEAN is known or targeted to be the next growth area. Of course, right now it's already demonstrating good potential. In some cases, it's already got results. And Malaysia last year had tremendous growth, right? So against that backdrop of Malaysia and ASEAN, I want to ask the industry side, right, the three gentlemen, how then is your manpower strategy evolving against that background? And how do you actually use regional workforce vis-a-vis a local workforce? Because you guys are locally based, but you are regional in some cases or global as well. So how is your mix happening and how do you supplement? How do you leverage? And where do you see the trends be? Different countries and different capabilities, right? Because I think a lot of us here in the audience also would like to understand your views in terms of manpower policies, and how you guys take a best in the region. So maybe any of you.
Yeah, maybe I propose. So for the question on how do we escape from what we have our base in China, which we are producing about 80% of our product, to move it to the other part of the world, because like we say Asia is growing, so that is where we are focusing to grow to our 500 million pairs. So how do we grow? The first key is how do we ship all these people from China, from Vietnam to other part like India, Cambodia, and so on. The key is how do I generalize all the workforce so that when we move to one country, the person can be a generalist and do more than one task. That's the first thing. The second thing is how do I use tools or technology to support it? That is where the AI part comes in. So we have another program called AI First, Human Origin. So we train the people. They say, okay, this is what you need. Then, because you are basically the so-called lone ranger to the country, to establish, put your flag there and say, this is my new territory, and then how I'm going to grow with it, and then how I'm going to bring in the correct skill set. Because each factory will produce a different component for the shoe. It's not just one factory do all the shoes. So yeah, some factory will do the insole, some factory will do outsole, and then all these combined. And the skill set, although the process is the same, from rubber, cloth, and then become a shoe, but the training and the managing of each individual country is different. So you need to train them on the culture. You need to train them on the way of communicating with people in various different countries, right? From China to Vietnam, the way of communication. So that is where we talk about generalizing the whole so-called production management kit. We have 40 over factory doing 200 shoes. The whole company size of employees is 150. And we do not intend to grow in terms of people. So we can only grow in terms of technology, in terms of enhancing the skill set to become more generalist.
Therefore, thank you.
So my role is specific to Malaysia only. It's my sole responsibility, but I can still speak to this question on a broader sense. So we're a very young company still. We're only 25 years old. I'll speak to another one of the big passions of ours on the operations side is really our lean environment. And to answer, we're not ever moving workforces between countries. I could probably say Malaysia, we are, besides myself, 100% Malaysia, right? We're fully local. We take pride in that fact. But if I look to our plant, China, our plant, US, our future plants, a big part of this on the lean side is standard work, right? Insulet's a very unique company. We produce effectively one product. That's very unique, right? You mentioned you have different factories producing, all my factories produce the same thing. So what that means is we can very cleanly define standard work for all of our equipment, all of our automation. So whether I have an operator in Malaysia or China or US, they all are defined to do the same exact thing. And that starts with our leadership definition. Different plant managers have different approaches. That standard work definition needs to come from the top and be consistent down the board. And it's not just operating the machine. For those who are familiar with total productive maintenance, it's one of our big focuses in our plant. It's still autonomous maintenance. So our operators not just run the machine, they help maintain the machine, right? That's a big part of our both skill development and keeping standardization, focus improvement, plan maintenance. And then beyond that is the growth and development programs. I mentioned in my opening statement, right? I think everyone in this room, a lot of us here live to work, right? Or I should, but not everyone lives to work, right? A lot of people just work to live, right? And so how do we tie their skill development to career growth? How do we make sure the skill development means something to them and not just for Insulet? And that's the way we approach it across all of our factors.
Okay, good. So, yes.
Right. If I may add a bit, probably the question is around on how do we evolve with automation, right? So, in a simple term, our operator today need to be able to really, with automation increase, our operator need to be able to understand the process, use the data to be able to make decisions. This is a scale shift for everyone, as we are keep talking about automation, smart factory. And in the past, we were being pressed or we are being accessed where those gaps are within the factory, where we are on smart factory. All right. And we started that, I think, probably around 2 years ago, embarking on that challenge. And the fact that it's quite challenging in the beginning, but we start the journey and we are at certain level today. With automation, system and data, our operator today need to understand really what is happening behind the machines. Not just follow instruction, press a button and complete the jobs. In today's world, we can't do that anymore. And we have to realize the fact that we have to level up. All right. And for example, if I can take one local example, we have a few branches. Daniel is speaking about standard works. I'll be speaking about how do we embark that journey and how we transform that pilot project of automations. We started in HQ. Initially, we wanted to shift quality inspections performed by a quality inspector to operator safe inspections. Initially, it was challenging. There are a lot of resistance, hesitation, pushback. But over the time, we start see the good fruits. We start see faster detection, less rework times, and slightly stronger ownership. Those are the pilot project. But we are still improving that part of that process to the other plants. We were not able to do that just yet. All right. And we have to keep on doing that year over the year. And the point is, how do we co-create that environment for our workforce to fall safe? Because we do not know how can we, probably we do not know how to measure the outcome of that so-called implementation projects, right? But the most important is, are we able to give them the space to fail? And are we going to be there to support that development? Are we going to support that when they really need us and allow them to continuously learn and adapt? All right. So one other thing that I keep emphasizing also, even when we are speaking to our counterparts, when we heard about automation and smart factory, people keep thinking about, okay, this is job security. I'm going to lose job over the time. But if we frame the narrative or how we send the message, automation does not really reduce people. It's actually increase the level of the people that we really need. All right, and how we can restructure that to better align the workforce and make sure that they have a proper career developments and how we can evolve them further. All right.